Hello, everybody. This is Jason, and today I've got Caroline with me. We haven't got Judy because she's back on the treadmill with the Sprogs, her grandchildren, taking them fishing, which is a great thing to do with young people. I remember it well. I used to spend many, many hours by a pond with my rod and line. I was rather bad at it, but there we go. And that could lead into, there you go, what Caroline just suggested we talk about today, which is go back a little bit, because Judy put a post for the last episode 8, on LinkedIn, and kind of expressed that Caroline and I had come clean, inverted commas, on our educational backgrounds. Me at a state grammar school on Merseyside in the 70s and 80s, and Caroline at the exalted institution of St. Paul's for girls. Is it just girls? It's just girls, isn't it?
Well, there's the boys one and the girls one, yes.
Oh, right, okay. So what did you want to say about coming clean? I think you mentioned that we can't all be good at everything, and it's okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I mean, I remember I was really bad at some subjects in particular, and I felt really embarrassed. I felt that there was something wrong with me, that I couldn't, do what I was expected to do.
Which ones were they?
And well, in particular, the ones I mentioned were art. I can't draw and paint. At least, I've never had a teacher who's been able to lead me into that, because I don't believe there's anything you can't do, but I didn't have anyone who could help me, and I wasn't able to do it on my own. And the other thing was maths. I'm really no good with numbers.
Me too.
They don't mean anything to me. I don't have a good relationship with numbers. And so I see with kids here in Italy, when they tell me about what they do, that everything is very like progressive. If you miss a bit, then it's a problem. For like, you have to be able to, everything is in line. It's like everything has to be done one thing after the other.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was like when I was at school, because I just didn't understand the basics, basic things about fractions and stuff, and equations. It was.
How did you feel when you saw an algebraic equation on the blackboard?
Oh, completely confused. I mean, it didn't mean anything at all. So, yeah. I mean, when what I talked about was when I put my hand up, my hand shot up. It was like, yeah, I got the answer. I know, and it's or it's right or it's wrong. I was the only person in the class thinking what I was thinking. Everybody else was thinking the opposite, and they were all right, and I was wrong. And it was excruciating. It was like really, really humiliating, because. Yeah, it's like
wow, that's trauma then.
Well, it's interesting, yeah. But this all came up like because of what we were talking about, and there were things that I was definitely good at and enjoyed, loved, and I got gratification out of my effort and results.
Yeah.
And I just think that, as I said, not everybody can be or should be good at everything. I think it's great that people, I'm not talking about myself. I mean, maybe some people are able to handle things that they can't do better than others. So whatever. But I mean,
do you think? I mean, I can see my brain went segue. Lots of people are at school, say they're Italian students at school, and they get the feeling or told or the impression that they can't do English. They're bad at English. They're bad at languages. And then people get it in their mind, I can't do that. So do you think I think you're right. I think it's good to not worry if you're not good at something. But if you want to be good at something and you're told you're not good at it, I think that can psychologically impede you actually having a go. and trying to do it. It's demotivating, isn't it?
Yeah. It depends entirely on who is supposed to be helping you. Yeah. And if you're on your own as an adult and you've been told all your life that you're bad at languages, then it's really hard to break the barrier and to find a way to express yourself in another language, because you keep saying to yourself, yeah, but I can't do it. I don't understand. I can't do it.
But don't you think it's funny if someone gets the impression or the feeling or is told you're bad at languages? I do, because everyone speaks a language. So everyone has acquired a language. So why are they suddenly bad at acquiring a second language?
That's a really good thing to say to somebody who comes to me and says, I'm not good at English.
It's just a language.
Yeah.
It's just patterns and sounds and meanings. That's it.
Yeah.
But I totally get what you're saying. People get put off stuff. It's like, why is that? Why do you think that is? Do you think it's the competition thing, the grades, the exams? Everything's measured arbitrarily.
Yeah, it's also like the comparing yourself to other people. That can be very discouraging.
Yeah. That's not a good thing, though, is it? Really?
Well, no, it's not helpful at all.
No, because you get in a doom spiral. Well, I do sometimes. I either foolhardy and reckless and not giving a shit, or doom spiral. There's no in between. It's like.
Yeah, well, people.
So, talking about what we're bad at. I mean, I was bad at maths. I mean, I think AI is a godsend. Because ChatGPT 4.0, the latest one, can spit out calculations of any order that you want if you give it the right information, and it's a great learning tool. I think possibly the days of not being able to do stuff that other people can do are almost over in terms of information.
Right.
So it's just a question of having a go and getting stuck in, really. But then, we just had a little chat about some of our failings in relation to our English language teaching and learning businesses. And I said to Caroline before, I said, why don't you talk about how you market yourself? And what did you say?
I'm no good at marketing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then you said I was no good at marketing, which is true, which I take entirely on the chin. Because I used to be, and it's kind of strange. I was known as a sort of instinctive press grabber, marketing, PR kind of person. I even once, and he didn't appreciate it, I persuaded our director of studies at my first school in the summer of 1996, when Euro 96 was in the UK and the European Football Championships. And I went down to Lillywhite's at Piccadilly Circus and bought some football tops of international teams and a referee's kit. All right. And and I got our academic director to put the referee's kit on and stand in front of a whiteboard and put it somewhere. I can't remember. Anyway, we ended up with the local news coming round with a camera and a journalist, and it went everywhere. We were teaching. We started teaching, and we did it a bit. One lesson of teaching all the international students who were in the school, who were excited about the football being in the UK and they could, hang out and watch it. Teaching them football chants and terrorist-based swearing and things like that, and it really cut through in the marketing sense, because we got lots of inquiries after that. So But I kind of I've lost the mojo. I mean, you know the history of it. We've talked about it.
Yeah.
I was pretty good. I was one of the first people at our school. I think in 1994, Leicester Square School of English was one of the first English schools to have a website. And I remember the first website cost about £2,000, which seemed like a lot of money. But we'd just become accredited by the British Council. And I put this URL of our new website out there. And it made 30 grand in a year, which is kind of mad. But it kind of reached all the kind of people we wanted to reach, who were a bit nerdy and a bit wild, you know, who were exploring the internet, the early adopters of you know, internet forums and chat rooms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it worked like a treat. And then I was one of the first to use social media, Facebook, Skype, and all of that. And I was really, really into it. And then over the years, through the struggles and, you know, all the crap going on, I kind of lost the love of getting the word out, which you know. And I don't really do it very much now. And for example, now, you know, we've got a Facebook page, 14,000 followers, about 3 kind of probably check in occasionally. But using Facebook like to communicate with people, i.e. direct messaging, is a completely annoying process now, because Facebook for the last 8 months has been unable to stop the plethora of spam going into the direct messaging side of the page. So all you get is messages from people sounding semi-officious, saying you violated an IP policy or our community policies and we're going to delete your page.
Yeah.
And it seems to be like a whole army of these people. And I don't know what they get out of it, because I can't believe anyone actually clicks on the link that goes in the message, because there's so many of them. They've made themselves redundant by being so profuse. It's kind of weird, but you can't use it. It's like, I've written to Facebook and said, look, you're shooting yourselves in the foot here if you don't sort this out. No answer. So what do you do to sell yourself? You said you put posters up in schools, or you did?
I did. That was a long time ago. Yeah. But that was before I started using English out there.
So what do you do now? You just kind of...
Well, I until recently I spent a lot of time on Facebook posting and trying to post more. And then recently, as you say, there's all this stuff coming across that seems to be a total waste of time. And not only that, but they're not letting us post these podcasts easily. And it's just very frustrating to try and use that as a channel. So I'm not really doing very well at the moment in terms of marketing, because I put everything up on Instagram, but that's more for other purposes. It's not really for this, but I do it. I mean, the last one I haven't even done yet, actually, because I just don't see any benefit. And in LinkedIn as well, I do it, but I don't get anything. I haven't had anything out of it yet. And then there was a platform, one of many platforms, but one that I use that I pay for when I pay for the contact.
Right.
They have people asking for services like for English, for example, and in order to get their telephone number, I have to pay. And I've been doing it for years and years with them, but then recently they put their charges up. They're exorbitant now. So and there's no guarantee that you'll be able to work with the person anyway. So
how does that work? What site is it?
They get, it's called Pronto Pro, and they get they stop at 5 estimates or 5 offers.
Right.
So somebody says, I'm looking for an English teacher, I want to improve my English, and when they have 5 people answering, then the system stops. So you can't have more people answering.
So they limit your ability to connect with more people.
Yeah, you have to be quick.
Okay. That's the thing with all these sites. I mean, there are thousands and thousands of TEFL teachers on sites, touting their time and their expertise. But it seems that, and we saw this years ago when we published the materials, and I found this guy with his own Skype is the easy way of describing it. Mm-hmm. And he started WorldPay, the big online payments thing, and and then he was into technology, and he had this Skype version that had by the second billing in 40 currencies. So we were going to use it to pay people for their time talking, i.e. giving practice to students. But it kind of caused a furore. I think I told you this, haven't I? I ended up in private eye.
No.
Yeah. It was like, because we did it with the Guardian. It was called Guardian Languages, powered by languages out there. We produced all the content, and we had this Skype thing, a SIP phone application. And just the idea was to pay people sort of pocket money, to compensate them a little bit for their time. And when we did it, we got attacked by all and sundry in the English language teaching industry, who alleged I was starting a online sweatshop and paying and undermining teachers and teachers' ability to earn money.
Okay.
And I remember there's a guy, I won't say his name because he's still alive, who was very, very high up in the sort of global English language teaching industry at the head of an international group. I'll leave it at that. And he said to me, at a social thing with lots of people from the industry or the business, I don't like to call it the industry, it's a bit crap. In front of about 7 or 8 people, he accused me of, and I quote, dumbing down ELT, which is quite a spectacular thing to say.
Mm.
And then, so we did that. That was Christmas 2007.
Mm.
And we got slaughtered. And I think the Guardian got the heebies, and then it all fell to bits, and I got the materials back. But what do you get now? Years later, there's websites everywhere encouraging people to practice with people and paying them for their time and stuff. So it's like, oh God, I think, and going back to like my desire not to extend myself in terms of marketing is like, I think things like that have just kind of made me go, oh, I can't be bothered, because the way I think and the way I work is I seem to be always a little bit ahead of the curve. And if you're ahead of the curve and then you stick your neck out, someone tries to chop it off.
Mm.
So it's kind of interesting. But I wanted to talk about marketing because there are lots and lots of teachers trying to make money teaching, and lots of websites. So I think, and I was looking at there was a TEFL thread on Reddit. Have you ever been on Reddit?
No.
Reddit's quite interesting because it kind of lets people express things, and it goes into quite a lot of detail, and people tell their stories, and it's a huge website, like a social network, but like a message board. And I went on there, and there were like hundreds of teachers in this thread going, oh, I've been on this platform, and they've dropped the rates. It's not as good as 2019. Now there's loads of people on there undercutting me, blah, 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 blah. And there's a kind of, I got this feeling of sort of like a resigned desperation amongst all these CELTA qualified teachers who've been banged out by the machine with the promise of riches and far-flung places and online, passive incomes kind of thing. Well, it's not quite passive because they have to do something, but do you know what I mean? It's kind of reached that point. But still, there are 1.5, everyone says, and all the research, 1.5 billion people wanting to learn English. So there's this kind of, it doesn't work.
Exactly. You know? Right.
Do you think? Am I right?
Yeah. But I mean, because what we are offering is something that is not exactly unique. I mean, it is unique, but people are beginning to discover similar approaches to helping people learn English, which is not exactly teaching. It's something else.
What, like Judy talked about the coaching?
Yeah. And
English language coaching.
Facilitating, using context and different things that are not the traditional grammar exercises. So, we're not the only ones in that area, let's say. But but what we have is foolproof. It's like it really is something that you can count on. And I am so kind of convinced and comfortable with what I use that I feel that marketing is essential, but I don't know how to do it because I want people to see it. It's a question of visibility.
Yeah.
People have to see it and then and
experience it.
Yeah.
So you get most of yours by word of mouth, do you? People telling people stuff like
that? Yeah, like
that's good.
That's part of it, and I know that's important. I mean, that's definitely
word of mouth is the best. Because you don't have to do anything. People telling people, it's if you really want to crack it this time, do go and see Caroline.
Yeah.
It's I mean, there are lots of. It is changing. It is definitely changing. I mean, I was talking to someone the other day. I won't say who. And they were saying that they taught, they kind of understood what we did, and I thought it was a good thing. And then we talked about creating their own materials and method and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, go for it. Like that's all right. Because it can make someone unique, and if people like it, then they'll get word of mouth and stuff like that, and that's a good thing. But when I was listening, I was thinking, I can't really contribute much to this conversation because I know what I do and I know it works, and I can get someone speaking in 6 lessons without any aggro normally, 10, and they're definitely autonomous and comfortable. And so I kind of, and I think that's probably part of the thing that I don't try too hard marketing in some ways, That's why I created the before and after videos. Because I just thought, well, like you said, proof, proof is important, and people. But even then, the kind of strange enigma is that when I created the first time I created a before and after audio, and I think it was with the Polish guy I work with, I forget his name now, but also Jane, the Chinese girl, and I remember putting it into up on LinkedIn, and a load of teachers responded, English teachers, and kind of to a person, they all said, "Oh, I can't hear any difference." And I thought that was, I thought it was astonishing. It was like, what's the word? Aural blindness. Willful aural blindness, because those clips that you heard them and other people have heard them, and people who are kind of open-minded and just have no agenda go, wow. And like I shared the other day, when I was looking back through the podcast, like that comment from Professor Stephen Krashen, who's like, global superstar of language learning, saying, remarkable, amazing, what did you do? And yet you put those audios before and afters in front of teachers who, like we talked about last time, have something to protect, i.e. skin in the establishment game, and suddenly their ears don't work, which is pretty bad for an English teacher, isn't it? If your ears are faulty, you want to get out, find another job if your ears don't work, or get a bigger amplifier, or something like that.
But I think that something that came to mind while you were talking now about their ears not working is that they have a syllabus and a program to impose on people, and they don't listen because they don't need to listen. They just put out stuff. That's part of the problem.
What do you mean they don't need to listen? I don't understand.
Because they just have to explain and tell people to do things, to write and to do exercises. They have their lesson plans and they do what they have to do. And so they're concerned more about what they do rather than what the people who are supposed to be learning are actually learning or not.
So you think they've how should I put it? They've become or acquired a disinterest in progress in their students' speaking skills?
Yeah, I think so.
They're not interested in
I don't think
improvement.
It matters.
Because they're so used to no improvement or little improvement.
Probably. Possibly.
That's amazing, isn't it? I mean, if that's true.
I mean, that's what I was thinking about when we were talking about school. The school has a syllabus, it has to achieve results, and if you can get there, good. If you can't get there, too bad. You fall by the wayside. And the same with English learners. Yeah. If you think you're no good, or if you think you'll never make it, then you just drop out.
But and I think we talked about this or touched on it before, and I talked about this with this teacher the other day, is that when students fail to speak after a 6-week, 12-week course or whatever, they aren't apologized to by the people running the course or the publishers or whatever. They're blamed.
Exactly.
You haven't worked hard enough. Do more grammar.
Exactly.
So the epic failure of ELT, helping people to speak, is also, in some respects, largely fairly abusive, because it apportions blame inappropriately.
I feel very privileged because I have the chance to really help people.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like I have a successful tool. I had somebody today who had a lesson planned with me but had not prepared it. Ooh. And so we went through it slowly and carefully. Right. And at the end, it was okay. But she said maybe we can do it again, and I said, well, not immediately. We'll do it one day maybe if you like, but because it was something she needed to digest. And obviously, if she had done it herself beforehand, done the preparation for the conversation, it would have been much more effective. But anyway, it was really, really great to be able to have worked with her in a way that was effective.
Yeah.
It was really effective. And I felt great, and she did too. And it was like, okay, I got it.
It's a human thing, I think. I when I work with people one-to-one and they get over the bump and they start speaking confidently and thinking in English, I get a huge buzz because you've changed someone's life.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of them have been trying for years, and doing this has its own sort of built-in reward that or when it clicks and they get over the bump, it's great, isn't it? You feel like you've done something amazing for someone, and like that kind of that is, I think boiling it down to why I still do this after all these years and all the aggro. And that's why that's why I did what I did in lockdown with those 5 students from around the world, you know, and I put the message out, if you think you're about to give up trying to speak English, I'll help you, first 5. And it was like, let's just do something good that helps people, and we know we can do it, you know. And that's why you get word of mouth, because they have a good experience.
Right. Exactly.
So then we go back to marketing, see? And it's not just in ELT, it's in everything, isn't it? You know, like we are, as human beings with brains and eyes and ears, online, and we get bombarded with everyone telling us their product is the best thing since sliced bread, that phrase again.
Yes.
And so everyone's shouting from the rooftops how good their thing is. And most of them aren't good and don't do what it says on the tin, to borrow a marketing term from Ron Seal. Had to give them the name, otherwise, they might get upset with me borrowing their words. So it's like there's this sea of information and people going, come over here, we're great, we can do this for you, this is great, this is great, this is great, it works. Most of it doesn't. In fact,
they say this is what you need.
Yeah.
This is what you need. You can't live without it.
Yeah. And if you don't have it, your life is ruined. It's the old fear thing. I think the fear thing in marketing came in when I think it was hit on by George Bush Jr. when 9/11 happened. I think the fear factor mobilized the massive bombardment of Iraq and subsequent profiteering of Halliburton. And I don't mind saying that, they won't, they know, everyone knows that. And the sort of, rapacious invasion of a country and its people. But the fear got it done. That was like Tony Blair standing up in the Commons saying Iraq has missiles that can hit us in 30 minutes or something, which was a complete fabrication, we now know. But the fear got the vote through. And fear sells. So you need this is an underhand way of saying, if you don't have it, your life will be more miserable. So how do we change that? How do we create positive marketing? How do we say your life will be enhanced if you do this? And it's not very expensive in terms of relative terms to the rest of your life and everything you do with your life. But it will make a huge difference. And you won't have to keep paying for it. I think that's an interesting one. Like, you won't have to keep paying for this because it will stop, because you will get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think sometimes, in some ways, people they've forgotten the concept of not needing to keep doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because everything is a subscription. And subscription models of buying services are about maintaining a revenue stream and cash flow and milking as much as possible from the intellectual property in your product or service. So if you're it's like it's kind of like a digital morass that everyone's kind of slid into over the last 5-10 years. Maybe that's why I've stopped doing so much as well. It's like when I start looking at, I better do some marketing, and then I start looking at it, and then I do a bit of research, and I look at it, there's this platform, connect to this one, and I go, oh, Struth, do I have to? So I think doing this, actually, talking to you and Judy and chewing stuff over, because people are listening, more people are listening. We looked at the stats, didn't we? I showed you the stats the other day. More people are listening. We're not getting any comments. We've got 2 followers on Podomatic, new followers. Maybe I should send them a personal greeting. I think that's good marketing etiquette.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Say hello to your new followers. But I think this is a gentler, kind of more human way to get a message out, which is kind of nice.
Yes. It's if it's information, and then that's what you need to know about something.
Yeah.
That can interest you or not.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. And also, you were talking about possibly using AI to enhance the program, which is
I had a look at that
fascinating.
this morning.
Yeah. Oh, what?
Oh my God.
Oh, okay.
That's a brain damage. That is. I think it can be done what I want to do, but I'm currently weighing up whether it's something I should do and learn to do, or whether I should talk to someone else about helping me. But then usually when I try and talk to someone else about helping me, the words I use to explain it don't hit home. It's like trying to hire a programmer. Have you ever tried to hire a programmer?
No, but I can imagine that what you've got in your head as an idea is not necessarily going to turn out the way you want it to be.
Exactly. And what's the phrase? There's another old phrase. I'm going to start bringing up old terms and phrases for you. Many a slip betwixt cup and lip. Have you heard that one?
Yeah, that's pretty old.
That's a really old one, isn't it?